Morning, everyone, and welcome to V3 News, where sometimes the facts are just plain funny. Today, for our first story from SkyNews.com, we have a woman who has undergone brain surgery while playing the violin to ensure surgeons did not damage the part which controls the fine movement of her hands. Dagmar Turner, a 53-year-old management consultant and passionate violinist from the Isle of Wight, had a tumor removed at King's College Hospital. She was worried she may lose her music skills, so she suggested she be allowed to play the violin during the operation. Professor Askin, a consultant neurosurgeon at the hospital, came up with the plan to reduce the risk. Surgeons mapped her brain, opened the skull, and then got her to play the violin as the tumor was removed. Footage shows her picking up the instrument during the surgery and playing scales with her eyes shut. The surgeons state that they managed to remove over 90% of the tumor, including all of the areas that were suspicious of aggressive activity, while retaining full function in her left hand. Ms. Turner thanked the surgeons afterwards for preserving her 40-year love for the instrument. "The violin is my passion," she said. "I've been playing since I was 10 years old. The thought of losing my ability to play was heartbreaking." And next, we have a miniature horse that's called Fred, who travels first class on American Airlines flights. American Airlines welcomed Fred on board in a special outfit befitting of budget Marvel superhero film and a travel bag. If you thought flying stallions were purely the stuff of Greek myths and legends, then it's time to think again. Like the divine winged steed Pegasus, a miniature service and support horse named Fred has taken to the skies. Fred was specially trained by his handler, Ronia Froese, to join her aboard an American Airlines flight from Michigan. Dressed in an outfit befitting of a budget superhero film and with a travel bag strapped to his body. The pair flew from Grand Rapids to Dallas, Texas, from where they grabbed a connecting flight to Ontario, California. While others have struggled to convince U.S. Airlines to allow them to board with peacocks and hamsters, Miss Froese said staff were all too happy to have Fred on board, and he even got to travel first class. In a gushing Facebook post, Miss Froese thanked the pilots, co-pilots, and crew in all 4 outbound and return flights, saying their excitement to have a legit service horse on board was a breath of fresh air. She added that their kindness and comments about how well-behaved Fred was made me the proudest mommy, handler, and trainer ever. They were all super respectful. And next on V3 News, we have a New Hampshire cop that strips down and walks home in his underwear after being let go. Officials decided to close down the one-man department in Croydon, New Hampshire, leaving the officer to hand over his clothes. A police officer in the U.S. caused a scene at a local board meeting of his department by stripping down to his underwear and walking out into a snowstorm. Richard Lee, who was the only police officer in the town of Croydon in New Hampshire, lost his job on Tuesday night after the board closed down the area's branch and giving neighboring New Hampshire State Police full coverage of the town. At the conclusion of the meeting, Mr. Lee was asked to immediately turn over his gun, badge, and uniform, as well as the keys to his police cruiser. Mr. Lee told Valley News that he then went into the office that he shared with town officials and took off his clothes in front of the board's chairman. He said, quote, "I gave them my uniform shirt, I gave them my turtleneck, I gave them my ballistic vest. I sat down in the chair, took off my boots, took off my pants, put those in the chair, and put my boots back on, and walked out the door." Without having any spare clothes in the office, Mr. Lee had to walk for nearly a mile in a storm in just his underwear before his wife could pick him up to take him the rest of the 7-mile journey to his home in neighboring Newport. He added that he left his gear as he did not want to face the prospect of being arrested. And finally, to those V3 viewers that don't believe in karma, get a load of this story. Woman who returned lost ring has her own ring returned. A South Carolina student who had found a former student's long-lost class ring in a parking lot had her own ring lost and returned to her just 2 weeks later. Catherine Kenyon, a PhD student at the Clemson University, said she lost her ring from the school in 2017 when she was a senior. She said she suspected the ring had been left on a bus, but she searched the vehicle and was unable to find it. Kenyon eventually used the insurance that she purchased for the ring to get a replacement, but she received a call this last Wednesday from an unknown number in Florence, South Carolina. She didn't answer the call, but a few moments later she received a text message from the number with a photo of her class ring. Andreas Hammond said he was a Southern Wesleyan University student in 2017 when he found the ring on a bus after a large group of students got up and left. He said he tried to find Kenyon online but didn't have any luck finding contact information until this month. Kenyon's ring was returned to her just 2 weeks after she returned another long-lost ring to the former student. Kenyon found a 2016 Clemson University ring in the gravel parking lot outside the school's Fike Recreation Center in January and was eventually able to return it to Maggie Payne, who dropped it in the parking lot 4 years earlier. We want to thank you for joining us for the weird and wacky and wild news here at V3. We know you have a choice in your news, and thank you for joining V3. Everyone, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.